What's up, guys? Jay here from Index Archery. Welcome back to One Takes, our short series where we give you guys archery tips in one take. No cuts, no edits. Today we're talking about release aids. You're brand new to archery and it's time to pick out a release. Typically, the most common release that we see people start with is this right here, the index release or the wrist strap release. As some would say, the wrist rocket. This is how I started my archery journey along with many others. And it's really a great way to get started. You're not going to lose it. It's always attached to your hand. And if you learn how to shoot this thing correctly from the beginning, you can be really accurate with this. And that's what we're here today to talk about. Many people start off with this release because it's similar to something they already know. It's very much like a pistol trigger or a rifle trigger. Put your finger on it and it activates. But it is very important to understand how to properly use this release when you're getting started to avoid creating any bad habits that are going to haunt you in the future. So when it comes to a wrist release, here I'm using a shot trainer to demonstrate. When you come to full draw, the first thing you want to do is find a nice comfortable anchor. Now your anchor is a little bit different for everyone. What I like to do with this type of release is I take the pocket created by my thumb and index finger and I like to put it on the curve of my jaw. When I come back, it rests comfortably there, and that's something that is repeatable and feels right to me. The next thing I want to do, I'll see if I can get closer, is I want to wrap my finger over that trigger. Now this release is actually a little bit long for me. I actually want to adjust this and take out a little bit of the slack and make it just a little shorter. But for now, I'll shoot it like this. So when I'm at full draw and I'm at my back wall, I'm going to wrap my finger around that trigger, and from here I'm simply going to pull backwards, pulling backwards until it surprises me when it goes off. You see what's happening here is the release, the jaw, is locked to the string. It can't move anymore because I'm at that back wall. So as I pull backwards, my hand is actually going backwards and putting pressure on that trigger. So that's what right looks like. Here's a demonstration of what wrong looks like. I come to full draw. I find my target. My pin is floating. My finger hovers. And I slam the trigger. By not using that surprise shot, we're actually training our bodies to anticipate an explosion that's going to happen in our hands. And that can lead to target panic and anticipation and some really terrible groups. It can be very frustrating if you get in that mode, and it's very hard to break yourself of those habits once you're there. So starting out with an index release, again, we want to come to full draw, wrap our finger around the trigger very gently, and pull backwards. And you keep pulling, and you keep pulling, and the release goes off. So that's how we execute a shot with a wrist strap release. The next type of release you'll see that I use is a thumb button release. Here I have a 2-finger release that operates very similar to the index release in that there is a lever or trigger that you can use to activate this release. But in the same way that we use the index release, I clip my release onto my bowstring, I come to full draw, I settle into my back wall, and I anchor. For this type of release, I use the notch between these 2 fingers, and again, I let the curve of my jawbone sit in that pocket right there. It's very comfortable and repeatable. So same situation, I'm at full draw, I'm going to wrap my thumb around this trigger, and I'm going to pull to the rear. And it goes off, and it surprises me when it does so. And that's the proper way to execute a shot with this release. If you guys haven't picked it up yet, any release that you're using, the proper way to shoot it is to apply pressure and let it surprise you when it goes off. Very few archers can be successful when commanding or punching the trigger, meaning they line their sights up and punch and make that go off. Our bodies are wired to protect ourselves from those surprises and from those explosions that happen. And even though this isn't a firearm, your body still reacts to a bow in the same way and feels that it's an explosion. So it begins to tense prematurely when your brain starts to fire that signal to this release to shoot. So by letting it surprise us, we can't train our brain to anticipate. And you get that surprise. I hope this was helpful. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow along for more content as we give you guys archery tips and techniques for all the beginners. Thank you guys for tuning in. Follow Index, and I'm glad you're here.